Hello and welcome to Adventures into the Unknown. In today's adventure, we are actually going to be hiking out to this ridge line back here, not to just one ruin site, but more than likely two ruin sites that I spotted on Google Earth while doing recon on another adventure. Now, I do have a pretty good idea of what we're going to find. I believe they're going to be ancient ruins, as this area has hilltop after hilltop of ancient ruin sites. In fact, this mesa right here, we hiked up to the top of that and discovered a pretty incredible structure there. And so with that being said, let the adventure begin. Alright, so on Google Earth, this dirt road looks flat, but it is actually quite hilly. The good news is we're almost to our destination, which is this ridge line. So let's get to it. Alright, so that dirt road continues on, but we need to get hiking up to the top of this ridge. So we're going to get off the dirt road. Alright, so I think this is an old miner's road that runs along the top of the ridge, as far as I could make out on Google Earth. And it's kind of what caught my eye. So, at the top of this hill, we should find the first structure. So we're getting close. Let's see what we find when we get up here. I can begin to see stacked rocks other than the more modern man. Giant cairn. This is going to be the first ruin site. Looks like there's a smaller room back here. This might be one big room. What do you think, Katana? Worth the hike? I think there's going to be maybe like a little kiva room back up in here. Absolutely incredible views from here. And you can see back to several other ruin sites on the hills all over this area. Don't see any pottery, but the fact this is the first site you probably come to has probably been pretty much picked over. Oh wow. Oh, there's a whole bunch of rooms back here. I did not expect this. There's a room there, a really deep room there with a very old metal post in it. It must have been a marker for this at some point in time, but you can definitely see the stacked wall here for this room that probably would have been deeper and had probably a wood roof across the top. Pretty cool. Quite amazing. Look at this. I can't believe I thought this was going to be the smallest of the structures. It might actually end up being the largest of all the structures. It just continues on across this entire hilltop. Another couple rooms here leading back to the backside of the hill, where we have yet even more rooms. Absolutely incredible structure. I didn't actually expect to get the drone up, but this site is big enough to definitely warrant getting the drone up. Now I think I see our second site back here, so let's get going. And so the first structures we found were right up here on this hilltop. We haven't actually gone very far, and there is a circle structure just down the hill. So I'm not sure what this structure was or how it is perhaps related to the structure up here. Got a room over here. Actually, this looks like it might have been a room of its own. We have a wall back here. I'm guessing that goes to the cliff side here. Oh yeah. Yeah, it goes right up to the cliff. And the other structure was right back up here. That first one we hit. Now we're in the second one. I'm not 100% certain this is the second one I was thinking of. This whole ridge line appears to be littered with ancient ruins, and I think I might have just spotted my first piece of pottery. Sure enough, that is our first piece of pottery, and it's a pretty good size. So I'm kind of surprised that it's just sitting here on the surface like that. And now that we're down here, I can see even more structures along this whole ridge line. Definitely have to get the drone up to take in all these sites. Much bigger than I thought. Looks like our first piece of chert, perhaps, for making tools. Not sure what that little room would have been. think this room might go over to the edge on this side. Not much left to this. Who was that? Bird. All right, as we continue on, I think there's another room right back here, tucked in between these amazing boulder structures, and might have our first little grind hole along with some poo, but that might be our first little grind hole we've come across. This is definitely a room. A very big room. I think this might be the second structure I saw on Google Earth. Was this big room here, tucked in between these boulders. And we just flushed a covey of quail. Scared the hell out of me. So we just came off of that hill, and we've been hitting room after room after room. Much bigger site than I expected. Yet once again, another little room. Now looking back off this ledge, we still have to get to the top of that hill. We just came from that hill back there. And we keep finding all these little miscellaneous rooms. Alright, so Katana is following, I believe, this game trail up here to the top of this hill, where I think I see some stacked rocks, and she apparently knows where she's going, which she doesn't, but that's alright. What do we got here? We got another room. This is incredible. This is a very cool little room that looks out over the valley all the way back to that site back there. What do you think, Katana? I wonder how much deeper, because this wall is only a couple feet high. I wonder how much deeper this actually went. You can see back here it's deeper, but and you can see there's not going to be any wood roof left, as forest fires do burn through here. Alright, so from these little rooms here, I didn't even notice, but we've got a little room here that I'm pretty sure is going to look over the cliff on the other side. All right, so that's not much of a cliff, but it does look down the other side. All right, so we just left this second hilltop, and as we're doing so, there is a room there, and then there are several rooms right here, kind of in the saddle. I cannot get over how many different little rooms or areas that are out here. This is absolutely incredible. Another little circle room there. Got this room here. This is a lot bigger site than I realized. Not sure where she gets this from, but Katana's looking over the cliff down into the valley. I would so like to get on top of this little rock structure here, but probably not a good idea. There's a squirrel sunbathing down there on those rocks. It's a pretty good distance down there. A lot of cool rock formations out here. That might be a whole different adventure sometime to come explore those, maybe in the winter. Less likelihood of snakes. Now, I'm not too concerned about snakes, but for Katana's safety, probably best we save rocks for the winter time. All right, so I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for today's adventure into the unknown. If you enjoyed today's adventure, if you could do us a favor and spike a like, it would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you like these type of videos, you might want to shoot that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future adventures. And as always, if you have questions or comments, drop them down below. And so with that all being said, until next time, seek and enjoy. See ya.